Let's see. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. Let me know if you have any questions. Just put it on the chat, and I'll try to answer one by one. My name is Dexter. I live in Utah, and I'm my neighbor is actually Robert Baxter, and we are business partners in several other businesses. And when he took over, he was like, "Hey, you want to be part of my organization?" And here I am, helping him out a little bit. So I don't want to talk too much about myself because here, you know, I'll just have it really organically. If you have a question, just type it in. I'll answer. So we will go from the top. My question is: King of the Table gone? The answer is no. King of the Table is not gone. Uh, we have a plan for after Dallas. We will have King of the Table. Next, Ingrid has another boss. That's not correct. Ingrid, Robert, and I, we form the executive team, whereby each of us we have our own responsibility. And so for Ingrid, he takes care of all the. He's technically the chief arm wrestling officer, and what that means is he he's responsible and he's the head of refing, rules, and matchmaking. uh, EVW Sports acquired King of the Table. Any updates on when John might compete next? It's somewhat public, but John does have an opponent, and he will make an appearance in Dallas. He'll be competing with somebody from Japan. So stay tuned. Lovely Hurt Dennis is making a comeback soon too. Can't wait to see what he can do. Yes, that is correct. We do have Dennis on our side, but again, that really that responsibility falls under Ingen to make that call. Dennis and Kuderja would be a great fight, sure. I would like to know who will be Brian Shaw's next rival. Matter of fact, Robert just had a conversation with Brian the past 2 days about his next match. Stay tuned, I guess. I don't want to reveal too much, else I might get into trouble. But yes, there is a very real plan for Brian to appear. So what happened to core sports? Um, well, uh, you know, when we worked the whole deal with Dawn, and we were still planning on using core sports, but I think Dawn, uh, and I don't know the full details, but Dawn recommended that we he was going through some troubleshooting and with the platform provider Endeavor, and so he just recommended for the time being, see if we can find somebody else to help us with our streaming. So that's when we did some digging and we found Kiswi. So it was kind of last minute. We didn't have a lot of time. We only had a couple of weeks to get it all set up. Hence, there's things that we're working on, and we are going to be launching new features and updates to our streaming platform. But I can't say if Core Sports is still around or not. That's a Dawn question. I have no no real insights on what's happening in Core Sports. But so I would say get with Dawn. Okay, let's see. You got the Chinese involved. Well, y- so yes, I'm ethnically Chinese, but I I grew up in a small little country called Malaysia. Hey Dexter, hey Matt. Yo, who's this guy? Is Devin competing the next EVW? Uh, I'm trying to think for a second if I can release that information. Uh, Maybe. I guess that's the best question. Again, uh, anything about matchmaking that's completely in Ingen's territory. So I'm more of in operations. So like social media, streaming, in the business sense, helping out with the venue selection, AV production, coordinating with with all sorts of sponsors, hotels, venues. So, but again, matchmaking that's not real me. This seems like a great idea. The community doesn't know Dexter well yet. Yeah. Ni hao. What? Did the signed cards and jerseys get shipped yet? Okay, so here's a really uh, decent change um, that we are starting right now. So one of my companies here in Utah, we actually ship out a whole bunch of merchandises. So we have a warehouse and whatnot. So in the past, and I think you guys would like this really well. In the past, everything was shipped out from Istanbul, right? And which caused shipping costs to go way high, way high. Now, for EVW 16 stuff, all the merch, Robert and I and Adam Silver, our new AV director, helped carry, a lot of the merch home, and we checked in, you know, half a dozen bags or if not more. And th- n- going forward, we're gonna try to have the a two fulfillment centers, one in Utah, which is where I'm from, for all the North American orders, and then we have another one in Istanbul to help with the European orders. And what that does is it will probably reduce the shipping costs for all the merch out there. So that might help. Now we just arrived, earlier this week, and so signed cards and the jerseys should be shipped out to the North Americans, uh, like on Monday. Um, is Aussie Armors still hosting King Cod? I am not quite from. Adam, do you know who the Aussie arm wrestler is?
Yeah.
Who's that guy?
So he used to be actually with often on King of the Table as the MC.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Yeah, so MCs, announcers, and commentators are also in Ingen Terzi's, decision there. So I won't really have very much say in that. Is having two down refs being considered at all? Uh, Not at this moment. And obviously, you can get confirmation from Ingen, but in our executive meetings, I've never once heard that even being discussed at all. Bro, does training side pressure training is important? 我名字叫 Hamza 你呢? Well, my name is Dexter. Ingen, I'm just here to say hi and greet everybody. Who rule king of the table now? Okay, so just to clarify the whole deal, um, Robert and I, Robert and I, we will take care. We took over both East versus West and King of the Table, i- to kind of combine the operations, and so that will have better type of production quality when you merge the resources. But more importantly than that is that in the past, it's always like, well, king of the table, then east versus west, king of the table, east versus west, king of the table, east versus west. It's always alternating. But now that we kind of control both, it allows us the flexibility of moving things around a little bit more. Where like for instance, right now we will have two east versus west consecutively, and then have king of the table. Um, you know, but we can only do that if we control both. And also, uh, so I would say it's still the three of us: Robert, me, and Ingen. I wouldn't say rule anything. Oh, Devin Merritt. Hey, Devin. Yermis versus Levon July. Uh, Likely. Hi, Ingen. How are you? What about biased refing against Devin? Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room about the refing. Now, one of the challenges of trying to have a really interesting event across, having it at new venues, new locations around the world, uh, we will always end up inadvertently running into issues. And this time, the issue was mostly, I would say, a communication barrier between the local Georgians AV team versus our AV team, which includes, me and Adam. And we were trying to explain to them how we wanted the whole lighting setup and everything, but unfortunately we didn't have a really, we don't speak Georgian. And so what Adam did was he sent them a video and says, "Hey, this is how we did it in the past. I would like it to be exactly like this." And unfortunately, they thought that was a suggestion more than an order or a request. And so the way that they did the lighting this time was kind of awkward, where there was no lighting from the front and it was only lightings from the side. And by the time that they start building it and they were somewhat completed, uh, was it about like Friday afternoon about there? And then we were like, dude, where's the front truss? Where's the light coming from? It's like, well, it's too late now. And so unfortunately, I wouldn't blame the refs as much as anything else. I would say I'll take the blame for this, and going forward, we'll make sure that we'll emphasize the need for better lighting. And because of the lighting issues, we kind of, I would say, the refs weren't able to do the full job that they could, right? The best that they could because of lighting issues. So this is like a lesson learned, and thank you for being supportive and being understanding that this is not something we intended for. I would like to take some of the heat away from the refs because that's technically a production failure on our part. Um, but we'll do better, and I apologize to everybody that was that found that the refs were having some issues. Um, you know, Better lighting, that would be better. Let's see. Is Ingen going to step down as promoter? He's so biased late recently. Well, I think okay. Well, we gotta say that Ingen is by far. I'm kind of new to the sport compared to most of you guys who have been in here for decades. What I've noticed is that Ingen's knowledge about the sport and about the different athletes, East and West, is incredible. Like he knows the history. Like you can go and quote and point out like a match from 20 years ago and says, "Hey, so and so in 2012 or 2004," and he'll remember exactly what happened and along with the score. That's how good he is, right? So I think he really likes to do the matchmaking and doing the refing and everything. We are gonna let him do what he enjoys best and what he's best at, and leave the menial stuff about hey, merch, design and everything. So he's getting to do what he loves best, and all the menial stuff that goes along with it, he's passing it off to essentially me and Robert. Uh, Good evening. East versus West Canada happening soon? Okay, this is a really good question. Um, we would love, we would love to have an East versus West in Canada, right? The only issue about Canada that is holding us back a little bit, and if any of you have any ideas or any assistance, let us know. Is that neither nor me nor Robert, we are from Canada, so we are not quite as familiar with the immigration laws on how to get uh, visas for the athletes. That is the number one issue about not having one in Canada. But as soon as we figure that out, we are there in Canada. I I think we would love to have Devon Pool in his own backyard. That would just be amazing. I think the crowd would go wild. So that's kind of the thing that's holding us back from going to Canada. Even in America, we are making sure that we get athletes visas, and we're hiring attorneys to make sure that we can assist them. We are reaching out to politicians, congressmen, senators, to help expedite and get our athletes in. Will King of the Table remain? Yes, King of the Table will remain, and it's planned for right after Dallas. So the event after Dallas would be King of the Table. Where is all the merch at? Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we brought most of the merch back to United States. We have a lot of orders that we need to fulfill on Monday. As soon as after Monday, we'll get a sense of knowing how much is remaining, and then we'll open things up. So uh very shortly, I think, give me about a month, there will be a lot of new merch that will appear on the store, and they'll be fulfilled mostly in Utah first. So shipping costs will be adjusted accordingly. and it'll be faster as well. Shipping from Americans to North Americans. Do people who compete or has competed in EFA competitions are banned from East versus West and WAF competitions? I again, this mostly falls under Ingen's territory, but from my understanding is that yes, there is a very good chance that if you competed in EFA and unless you've been cleared by WAF, you will not be able to pull at an East versus West event. Confirm for next East versus West. Okay. Yeah. Confirm matches. I think we have quite a few that we actually listed out, but I'm going to what I, what I'm going to do is um, I'm gonna let you guys wait a little bit because we'll be releasing posters within the next day or so, and we're slowly releasing them up. Okay. So when are we uploading the matches? Um. So we are releasing the full matches. We have already started releasing matches, and the rest of the full matches should be released. And I know there are questions about, well, the public's not going to be able to see it because we've came up with this new insider membership thing first. Now, just to clarify, right? Robert's main goal is to take this mainstream, and what I think the definition of mainstream for him is that anywhere you go, it's common for people to be talking about, "Hey, did you watch the arm wrestling event last week?" Right? You know, and it becomes widespread. I guess that's a better. It's widespread, and in order to do something like this, it requires a lot of money. So a lot of the money that we all most of the revenue that we get back goes back to athletes. It goes back to venues. It goes back to the whole production. And if you know like Robert's background especially, you know that he's not really doing this for the money. He's doing this for the love of the sport that he's been doing in the past, 3 decades plus. He's doing it, he's a seven-time former world champion. He's doing this because that's his his new goal, his new life goal is to grow the sport, right? And so we were looking on how are we going to be able to uh, grow the sport. Now, one of the ways that we've identified is that there are there are a lot of athletes who are, uh, you know, like the arm wrestling athletes. They are unable to do this full time because simply there isn't enough revenue on their YouTube channel or whatever to be able to support them pulling full time, right? There are still, I mean, we have a few handful, that are capable of pulling, just arm wrestling full time. That's great, right? But the amount of professional full time arm wrestlers are really, really little. So here's what we intend to do, right? We created this insider club, right? It's $5 a month, well, 4.99, and YouTube takes $2 of it. So with the $3 now, okay, just think of this math real quick. With the money that we collect, right, we intend on using that money, and we'll maybe I'll send a message to Oleg Petrenko, or oh, what was a better one, Oleg Zok. Hey, Oleg, we want you to create a send me a 30-minute video of your latest training regimen. Right? They'll send it over, we'll edit it and we'll post it. And it might be only a 5 to 10 minute video after we condense everything down. In exchange, we give a couple $100 to Oleg and says, hey, thanks for doing that video. And we take that and we distribute it to all the different athletes who compete with us and participate with us. So that's another way of helping the athletes. Now, all the pay-per-views that you guys support us with, we use that to help support all the athletes. Without your guys' support financially, we won't be able to redistribute it to all the athletes who are very deserving. And as time goes, we'll be able to get more and more full-time athletes, which means more content and also people being able to pull at a high level. If somebody is doing it part-time and he's arm only getting to arm wrestle and train part time, he'll never be able to. Yeah, he won't be able to fully uh, compete at the highest level possible, right? So that's kind of the idea behind the whole subscription thing. Yes, so all full matches will be on our insider club, but we are also, for everybody else, we are also doing a highlights version. Now, our highlights won't be as short as you might consider. It'll still be pretty good. I instructed the team to show all the pins, so you'll be able to see all the pins. But instead of seeing all the drama, we'll go to strap, we'll rest grip and everything. The setup time will probably be gone. There won't be a lot of back and forth, communication that is all recorded now. So the highlights, you still get to see the pins, you get to see all the match results, you get to see most of everything, but you won't get the full immerse experience. So it's a step down. So does training cyber is it necessary for Ingen to take Deuster ride for life after? That's an Ingen question. Will they announce EV70? So we will start releasing posters. Um, Matter of fact, we will be releasing one, or if not, they haven't already. So they will be releasing the EVW 17 matches shortly. Why can't there be one referee? It'd be more watchable if the match started way faster. Okay, there, you know, in order to be mainstream, the goal is we are trying really hard. We are trying really hard to shorten the length of the whole event. So as you can see in our last event, we reduced the number of matches down to 11. We may try to adjust down to 10. Now, one reasoning why we can go down all the way down to 6 or 5, or like boxing matches or whatever, it is because uh we want to be able to help out all the athletes, especially some of them, they're under contract, and we want to be able to uh you know give them a slot in the card so that they can get compensated, right? If they don't get a match, or they get too few matches in a year, then they will, financially they will struggle a little bit, right? So we are always doing whatever we are doing. We're doing this, thinking of the athletes. How can we help the athletes, right? We can pay them more if we make more, right? But that has to be balanced. We can't be losing a whole bunch of money in that process. So we so in terms of that one referee question, that's a complete Indian thing. But we have several ideas. We've been talking a little bit on how to get matches started faster. How do we reduce the setup time? Um, Again, nothing's finalized yet, but it's coming. It's coming. But I'm not sure about the one ref thing. I still haven't heard anybody discuss about that one ref option. So that'll be that's probably not an option at this time. When will you be announcing the matches on the Dallas card? Mm, uh, Potentially today, you'll see the first poster coming out, and we'll slowly release them as we get confirmation. Uh, will there be an event in Kazakhstan this year? Uh, well, that's a great rumor. That's a really, really great rumor. Maybe the answer is maybe, and maybe to explain the whole process of how we decide on a venue is this. So, uh, in before we go to before we pick a location, we try to reach out to the sports commissioner, maybe the city hall, like we did in Georgia, and maybe even the Ministry of Sports, to see if they are capable of maybe helping us out a little bit, right? So for in Georgia, it was great. They We had a deal. We had a ground guy. I think you guys all met him. He was on stage, Vala. So Vala was our ground guy, and he helped us, with all the connections there. And what that is when there's skin in the game from the city hall and the sports ministry, they are able to assist us whenever we have issues. Example, right? we are bringing in merch, and we don't want to get tax on those, right? We don't pay import tax or whatever. And then we reach out to the city hall, says, hey, and some of it it's literally given away for free to athletes and whatnot, and we don't want to pay taxes on those if possible. And so we reached out to people in the government, and they says, hey, can you write us a letter so we can show it to the custom officers? That way they are able to you know give us a waiver and just pass us through at the airport, right? So it's just one of those things that it makes us more comfortable picking a location. The second thing is, um, if there is monetary support or some level of financial equivalent support, in a sense where this is, hey, you know what? If you host an event here at Georgia, we'll take care of the venue, we'll take care of the hotels, to a certain level, right? And it is just they take care of these kind of things for us. So financially, it makes sense for us to go there because it's less of now traveling, having a traveling team, it is challenging enough. Well, we are flying dozens and dozens of people, from staff members to athletes. Our flight bill is pretty insane. So to help relieve some of that, if local people can get us a some sponsorships, like they say, hey, you know what, we'll give you 50 grand plus hotel and venue, then we're like, oh yeah, that's a really enticing place to go at, right? And in exchange, what we bring is, well, great entertainment, friendly entertainment to the local community, but also some level of prestige. Now, I'm not tooting my own horn or anything, but it really seemed like East versus West sport. We intend on being the highest level of production for the arm wrestling community in the whole world, right? So, uh, if a city or a country can say, "Hey, you know what? Uh, we've had the privilege to host East versus West for an event, and likewise for us, we are honored to be guests of the country." That maybe might mean something, and also we actually have quite a number of international travelers who would travel to a country like to attend the event in person. So I think in Georgia we had hundreds of people who flew in just to watch the event. Now I anticipate at some point we'll grow bigger and bigger, and there'll be more and more people who will be traveling to watch this event. So that there is some financial gain had in the tourism industry for the country as well. So, but at first we kind of need to have some level of support from the local, or I think even if it's not the local government, but at the very minimum, if there is like a massive sponsor that we are in talks with right now, and the sponsor is like, hey, we'll give you X amount of dollars, but we want you here. We want you here, but my logo needs to be front and center, and I need a booth and etc. We were like, okay, well, with the right amount of financial support, great. We'll take that into consideration. So Kazakhstan, we are in talks. Nothing's finalized yet, but we are really, really hoping. We are really, really hoping that the talks work out because Kazakhstan, home to several really good athletes. Uh, we are really looking forward to being there if possible. So why are the refs? Um, Again, I think I've already went through this thing about the refs. It's again, it's kind of our issue. Uh, let's see. Oh wow. Let's see. Oh man, there's you should add shorts. Okay. Uh, there is nobody better matchmaker than Ingen. Okay. Thank you, Dino. Let's see. I need to go quickly on the questions. I'm way behind on the questions. Is this question period an on and off thing? I I think with the amount of questions I have, I don't think I can go through all of them today. But I'm happy to do it, once after every event as a recap. So if there is any like feedback on us that we can get, I'm happy to get it. If and here's one thing I really want to share this, right. The goal is uh, to help the athletes, right? I think athletes make the league, make the sport. If we don't have the athletes, there's absolutely no way for us to really grow anything, right? So if any of you can help us out with copyright strikes and whatnot, please send it to this email. It's reports with an S, reports at evwsports.com. If you can send it to that, that would be really, really helpful in curbing piracy, even on YouTube channel, because the monetization that we get, it actually goes back to the company, which will find a way that leaks back all the way back to the athlete. So that would be really, really helpful. Um, let's focus on camera angles and review systems. Yes, that there is unfortunately this time there was that miscommunication that we were unable to to get it all set up in a way where it's ideal for us, but we will do better. We will do better. Will there be an option to pause broadcasts of EV16 and continue from the same place? Okay, great. That's a really great question. Yesterday we had a meeting with our tech team, and we says by hook or by crook, right? We gotta get the DVR system back in place, right? And they says no problem. They'll get it ready for Dallas. So Dallas pay per view, we will have that pause function, and we'll be able to go slide back in time and watch the videos while the pay per view stream is live. So that is a pretty big, one of the big complaints that we've gotten this time, and we'll address that. Why didn't they make a golden hand for women's category? I don't think it's. That's a great question. Great point. We'll look into that. Thanks, Vasil. Sorry. Where is Ingen? No, 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 no. Well, Ingen does so much podcasts and videos that and he'll be able to answer all the refing and athletes questions. I'm here as from the operational standpoint. So anything about streams and I'll be able to answer that. Hmm, let's see. What about turning the down referee into a remote referee who can alternate between multiple camera angles? Is that an idea worth exploring? Yes, actually, matter of fact, we are looking into having a system where there will be another ref on the side with a screen, so he'll be watching it kind of remotely, still within the venue, obviously, and we'll get a different angle compared to the two refs on stage. So that is something we're really really exploring. Uh, you want white and black? I wasn't able to pause the stream rewind. Yep, that would be added. Yes, we Houdini Sports. We are looking forward to having it's only a matter of time that we have an event in Canada. Devon versus Matt Mass in Canada would be fun. EVW symbolism is Turkish Freemasonry. We want. Okay, well, I'm seeing a few people wanting white and black EVW jerseys. Okay, I'll definitely look into that. I do think the down ref situation can be improved. There's just a way to go about talking about just yeah. Is the question period a one-off thing? No, it's not a one-off thing. What's the future of Chance Shaw and Foul? That's a Indian thing. Where's he reading from? I'm not reading anything. I'm reading the chat, by the way, if you guys are wondering. Major issue that the live stream wouldn't allow pausing and rewinding. Crashed multiple times, and we couldn't go back to see what missed. Okay, so let me get a sip of water real quick. Okay, so this time around, so we did a poll at the end of the whole live stream, and we found that about only 3% of the people said that there's a lot of room for improvement, and thank you for that. And if you notice that we employed a new technology that we did this time, was that we use a dual link to the servers, which means if you notice, especially in the beginning of the whole event, there was maybe a couple of times that it dropped, but then maybe a second or two later it came back on. What happened was when the first link failed, it switched over to the second link. That's why there's that pause. So the secondary stream would ensure that nothing would really, you know, go completely wrong. But yes, I do agree. We will have that whole DVR system back in place. The shirts run a bit snug. I ordered one size up. Okay, Mike Johnson, is there a recon? Uh, what is the web called? The yellow jersey was awesome. Can you bid Vitali? No. Ed Shorts, EVW Shorts, right? Dino, that's a great question. I love that. Now, now that what once we give us a little bit of time.
Arm wrestlers don't show off their legs.
Well, actually, there was that thing, right? The arm wrestlers, everyone wore the athlete's jersey, with the sponsorships and everything, but the their leg wear is a little bit questionable, right? So we had some in cargo pants and some in jeans and some in sweatpants. You know what? Let me take that into consideration. Let me take that into consideration.
Borisov's the only one that has legs.
let me take that into consideration. EVW is under WAF. Yes, we follow closely. We are one of the we were really good partners in that. Uh, your athletes may require specialized work permits in Canada. Yes, thank you for that. Uh, um, but why is IFA banned? I think, again, from my very limited information that I've gathered, that WAF and IFA, it's like oil and water. So that if you compete in one, if you compete in IFA, you are not necessarily welcomed in WAF. Uh, there's a lot of political. It's more political than anything else. So I will probably not go into that. Is there any novice competition that I can join? I'm from Tunisia, and arm wrestling is not in my country. Um, Honey Badger, you know what? Send an email to contact@evwsports.com, and let me help you figure out something, right? Let me help you grow that sport in Tunisia. We've seen amazing arm wrestling events, US and Georgia. Why keep holding events in Turkey? Well, uh, that was in the past. That was in the past. That was prior to when Robin and I joined. So and you need to understand, right? To host an event of this magnitude, it takes a lot of like manpower, a lot of labor hours, a lot of planning and strategic, conversations, and just it's just a lot of work. And the one thing that makes it a little bit easier is if it was in the same location the whole time. You have the same production team, you have the same setup, you have the same almost everything, other than different athletes and whatnot. So it allows a little bit more uh, focus for, and that was back when Ingen was only running it with Sagita and having his son Emir helping them out, and the local team all supporting it. So it was a really big challenge if he were to do it, at what we are trying to achieve right now. Every 5-6 weeks, we are having it at a different location. It is simply just too difficult for one person to do it. So, but again, if I was in England's shoes, I would probably do the same thing, and I would just hold it in Turkey. Uh, let's see. Uh, when will the annual subscription be available, and if this will include now both EVW events and King of Table? Uh, so straight up honest, right? We were looking into annual subscription, but because we were working with a new company, we wanted to get a really good feel about how our working relationship is with this new team, and we want to make sure that this is the way to do it. And core sports is always on the table if we need well, I need to check with Dawn first, but um, that's something in our consideration on the annual subscription, for sure, for sure. But it's not happening right now yet. Uh, let I still need a little bit more data, but it seems like the main thing is our streaming partners are doing a really good job. I think everybody applauded that it never looked better. So there's a very good chance that we'll have a long term partnership with these guys. Uh, yes, and if we do have it, it will be all our EVW events, King of the Table and East versus West. Yeah, you know what, Jake Corbin, I would like to see Robert Baxter on stage. Let's see. The setups need to be astronomically quicker in order for them. Yeah, you're absolutely like yeah, you're absolutely correct. We do have ideas and plans. We are talking to some of the athletes to see and to give us ideas and feedback on how to get the setup quicker. What about crown instead of gauntlet?
Hmm.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. Maybe yeah, you know what? Maybe for the lighter weight categories, we could do, right? We could do something like that. Oh, that's a good idea. Excited to see Unger Bayer poll. Yeah, the mainstream doesn't equate milking it. Worldwide culture. It's a way, 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 way too soon for us. Well, Edgar Allan Poe. Again, I think I just reiterate the whole thing. Right, this is not something that anybody on the executive team is looking to make a quick buck out of things. This is by far the amount of time that we have to put in. Like, when we arrived back in the States on Monday or Tuesday, Robert was like, man, it's the first time in like 4 months that I've slept for 7 hours straight. Like, I kid you not, everybody's dead tired, but we still persevere because we're working on international time zones. We have our own day jobs that we have to deal with, and we are slotting all these east versus west things in just in order to get the next event as successful as the or even more successful than the one in the past. So it's not about milking. I think it's figuring out a way how to make things more efficient, financially viable, because no matter how much passion we have, it doesn't matter if it's a continuous financial drain. Uh, the lighting was already addressed. The program we were working with didn't do lighting to our specs. Yep, that's right, Adam, the bodybuilder bully. Contracts limits guys who can't do it full time. Uh, no, well, speaking about contracts, I don't think that's a fair point. The whole thing about contracts is that because there's a contract, therefore we are willing to know that they're exclusive with us. Therefore, we will make certain commitments on our side. Else, we will break the contracts about giving them enough matches, and we'll pay them that to the level that they are satisfied. So if we are not forcing anybody to sign a contract with us. So the fact that the athletes are wanting to get a contract with us allows them to actually do it full time. So you can see because of what Ingen did, several years ago, and he signed contracts with some of the athletes, we have a number of them that are now doing full time because of East versus West and King of the Table. I got an ad when he was talking about I don't support YouTube. Um, Do you think TNT or ESPN will broadcast East versus West in the future? Is that the goal to have a broadcast partners? Yes, Houdini Sports. That is absolutely one of our goals in life. If we can do this without pay-per-views, we would absolutely do it on heartbeat. The only thing what pay-per-views helps us right now, it's the financial aspect. It allows us, again, like I said, to help fund the whole production and everything. So we can't stream for free because then production would be absolutely down the toilet. So we do have some things going on with ESPN, but they are playing our old videos, so not quite as exciting. But we do have full intent to at some point partner with a company like ESPN and to stream our and broadcast our sports for free. And I think that's how we can really, really grow the sport. Will you limit term contracts to full-time athletes? Th- I don't want to go too much into the details with the contracts with athletes, but you know, regardless of what the contracts are, we want to make sure that the athletes' needs are met, and most of the athletes' needs are usually it's two components. One is that they they actually do get the matches that they are promised. Mostly because a lot of them wants to be, being able to test their strength with the best athletes around the world, right? But the second point is for the contracts are so that they're compensated financially, so that they're capable of, having a decent life, just to help pay bills and whatnot. And what's interesting is because I've been helping athletes with their visas, and they submit how much they get paid on their full time job. They put in their employment records, and uh, w- we know some athletes aren't as in their day job. They're not very well off, and that is our goal, is to help uh, you know lift up all these our arm wrestling athletes so that they can do this full time. I think that's one of the real goal. Then they get to train, full time. If you get like 20K PPV on streaming sites normally, but can get 40K PPV buys on YouTube, then it pays for the YouTube cut, and you get much more overall. Um, well, YouTube doesn't allow pay per views. YouTube only allows uh, YouTube only allows live stream sessions like these in the form of membership. So they're not exactly the best partners, and also they take like what was it, like 40% or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
It is absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. Does it have any limits? Uh, it's only platform now, no choice. Have you heard about High Five Arm Wrestling not paying their athletes? Sorry, I have not heard anything about High Five Arm Wrestling not paying their athletes. Okay, here's one thing that I think we differ greatly. Is that my partners, Ingen and Robert, they would rather go homeless than to not. And this one I know for a fact because it's a story that I won't share today, but maybe one day if I get permission to share it. But I know Robert for a few years now, and he would rather, I can tell you for a fact, he would rather go homeless than to not pay an athlete. That's literally 100% true. If you know him for a person, if he promised you something, he would sell his house to make sure that you get paid. So athletes won't have to ever have that experience knowing, not knowing whether or not they'll be compensated. Do you support smaller promotions? I think here's from an outsider perspective, right? An outsider perspective like me, who has not been an arm wrestler for the past 30 years, right? uh when there is too many but this sport hasn't gone mainstream yet, right? This sport hasn't gone mainstream yet, and but we need a leader. I'm not saying that, oh well, we've got to be leader. I think Ingen has put together this league. He formed this, this East versus West, and now we've combined it with King on the Table. That now, if it feels like the, I don't think there's any other promotions out there that are even close to the level that East versus West is, or EVW is. And if you can just trust us that we'll do everything we can to blow this thing up. Will it is literally Roberts and Inget's life mission right now to blow this thing up, right? If there are too many small promotions and everybody is just pull away, like in the past before EVW, we had the Eastern Europeans pulling the in Eastern Europeans, and the North Americans are pulling it while, and maybe there's other small promotions too, right? Then it will never be like the whole sport coming together, right? The one goal that we have is that it might be far fetched. You might say we're crazy, but we need to get the sport into the Olympics, right? This sport has been around what, the 60s, right? And it's we're not there yet. It's because the sport is torn, right? It's torn. There's no single governing board like FIFA, or like the NFL, MLB, right? There's no like one big main governing board. like FIFA to help regulate all the rules and make sure everything. So I think that's one thing that we kind of need to address as well. uh, and if there's too many small promotions out there, I think it may pull athletes apart and everything. So that's why, it sometimes it may seem like, um, you know we may be a little bit tough on not sharing our athletes, the exclusive ones that have signed a contract with us. But the whole idea is, well, okay, think about it this way, right? So say Devin, you know, is scheduled to pull in Dallas, right? I'm not saying he is yet. I'm just saying, like, if he's scheduled to pull in Dallas, but there are like three other smaller promotions that are trying to get him, and we freely allow him to do so. And by by an unfortunate accident, he gets injured, right? That kind of affects our promotion. Now we have to, you know, change the cards last minute. People will be upset. So we gotta be, in a way, be careful about sharing athletes in that sense. Uh, but ultimately, we do support small promotions. Now we have a program, like the Challenger and Contender series, that if you are intending on hosting something, so if you can see, it's taking a little bit of time, but about I think about 2 months ago, we added the schedule, uh, tab on our website. And the idea is that if you would like to run a qualifying event or a super match type event on a and be partners with us, we charge absolutely nothing. Zero, zero, $0. We charge nothing, but in exchange, this is what we require you to do, right? So you sign a contract with us, an agreement with us, uh, and the agreement would be in the form of, okay, okay, uh, some guys in, say, Africa, you want to host an event. Sure, great. It'll be an EVW affiliated program. You have to follow certain rules, right? Obviously, it'll be a WAF's, a WAF type rule, to a certain degree. And if any deviations, you check with us to make sure that they are okay. They're not absolutely crazy. In exchange, we'll allow you to use our logos, in some of your marketing materials and on your jerseys. We will allow you to, well, matter of fact, we will help you cross promote your event on our channel and on our website, and we'll put you listed down as an EVW, event on our schedule as well. So we're trying to help promote the smaller guys, especially the qualifying events for the different countries. I think Swiss will be having two more events, EVW events. The only thing that we don't bother asking us, because that's a 99.9%, it'll be a no, is that if you can borrow some of our exclusive athletes, that's probably almost a flat no, for the reasons I've explained earlier. But we do have intentions of helping the smaller promotions. If they would help us in a little, help us out as well, right? Spreading the EVW Sports brand. Where should I look for my previous event purchases? Core Sports with you guys. Uh, Unfortunately, I have no control over Core Sports, so I can't say for sure if they still have your previous events purchase. But for the most part, most uh, full matches from the previous events have been uploaded on YouTube somewhere. How much VIP ticket cost for EVW? So EVW Dallas, it's $1,500. And we've been trying to stay consistent throughout, regardless of the venue, but it's $1,500. I agree. I just remember what Todd saying that you get rematch on Goodbye. How about pay how about pay-per-view features like the members will have? Um, so yes, we have quite a bit more qualifier events coming up. Uh, as soon as we have more news, we'll upload it on our website, and when it gets closer, we'll also have uh, we'll put it cross post it on our Facebook and YouTube channels. And so you say Robert's job is to make arm wrestling. Has he done this before? Has he made anything mainstream? What? Okay, so Robert's qualifications. So Robert, while he was in college, he started a video company, and it did so well that he even dropped out of college. That's how big of a business he did, right? And so he's been in the video business for a really, really long time. And as of late, he invested, and he made he's a really good businessman, made some money, and he also started investing and built businesses up, right? His latest one, like all the Five Guys burgers in Canada, all of it, his Oregon, Washington. Like he's a really good businessman. So qualifications, I'm not going to be too worried. He knows what he's doing. The VI, but I think first and foremost, he's a seven-time world champion. When I say not just any world champion, WAF world champion. So that's saying something. Um, yes, VIP tickets are there. We've seen arm wrestling events in US and Georgia. Why keep holding events? We answered that. I prefer 3 round matches. Seven is too much. Um, again, yeah, that's right. That's not my choice. That is yeah, we have considered that. We also have considered maybe like the newer athletes coming in that are not might be for the first time and stuff. We might only give them three best of 3 rounds. That is in discussion, but we also need to consider that they train so long and it might be over in 2 matches, and so it's kind of a difficult thing there. So in discussion, but again, not there yet. Uh, London, all no, Rome, Berlin, London, all have to be on the list for an EVW event. There are so many great cities. You know what? I absolutely agree. I would love to host an event in Rome, Berlin, London, and I think there are a ton more that are great. But again, as I mentioned, we kind of need to have some level of support, um, support in a way where it's from a monetization, well, so from a financial standpoint, it needs to also make sense. Certain cities, like I'm gonna guess London is gonna be a lot more expensive to host an event there. From a venue standpoint, a venue rental standpoint, from a production standpoint, from the manpower and labor standpoint. So it might be a challenge unless we get enough financial support. And if any one of you know anybody who be great sponsors in those countries, we would love to be in contact, especially if contract bans them. Kind of putting the right people in play and funding it. How is he going to do it? An event, yep, an essential progressive, yes. An event in Kazakhstan is needed, absolutely, absolutely. Part-time guys should have loose contracts. Uh, you are not wrong, Jay Coben, on the part-time guys. Some actually, not everybody who competes at East versus West uh, has contracts, so they are free to go elsewhere and compete as well. Eh, yes, so I can't go into the details of the contracts, but yes, athletes do get to benefit from that. The Drew 24. Did 4K streaming in Georgia affected the stream cuts? So, um, 4K streaming is very rare. Very rare, rare. Even at the highest level, we're talking about, say, even in UFC, they don't always stream 4K. Only on very, very selective events, it's 4K. The cost of streaming is extremely expensive, and it's charged by the bandwidth. It is kind of a very challenging technical. It's a very challenging tech because it needs to be live and it needs to be distributed through what they call a content delivery network (CDN). And so most places they only stream at 1080. So just FYI. And to give you an idea, like I believe those 4K streams, they charge pay-per-views at $70. If we do end up charging close to $70, then I'm happy to switch everything to 4K. But as of right now, 1080 is the way to go from a financial standpoint. Uh, for production value and efficiency, in my honest opinion, it's better to do how Wild did it. Reps group straight away, no way something in. Uh, Arm Wrestling TV, to a certain point, But there is also the fact that a lot of our athletes are active in competing at the WAF walls, and to deviate greatly because some of them do train pretty hard on you know on having following the WAF rule. So there's a discussion about how we want to do things, but yeah, it's not that.
By the way, that's Alex. He's Schoolboy's brother.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. We've we met in Atlantic City. Anything planned with Brian Shaw? Yes, there is plans with Brian Shaw. We've been talking, and hopefully soon you'll see him again. Uh, Asian man arm wrestling fan. Rumor, aka getting PPV codes to show how each code to bring PPV notes. I'll post it in channels. Thanks, Benji. Is EV's so EVW Sports open to external investors? I'm gonna tell you, it's a terrible. You don't want to be investing. I say just go buy a Tesla stock or something, or even McDonald's stock. It's better. Again, especially when the heads of the company aren't financial driven, dividends would be terrible. So it's not something you can invest in. Uh, the idea is we are trying to invest it back into the athletes and the production. London is like the most neutral venue for most to get it that is English speaking. Baxter's loaded enough to host it in the Royal Albert Hall. Well, uh, sure, but we don't want it to be our last event either. If it's going to cost so much. There doesn't need to be an event in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Ooh, I beg to differ. It's sometimes it's good to host it in an athlete's you know home ground. It really feels a little completely different. Michael Todd, I think was inducted as like uh
Yeah,
something in Arkansas,
yeah, he
right?
won. He
I
won.
saw his post the other day,
Yeah,
right? He accepted like Man of the Year award or something,
right.
right? So to host one in his back, in his backyard, it would be the crowd would be insane. Essential progressive, the rule. Benji might agree. That's the sentiment. You could do an event like tennis and have some of less significant matches going at the same time to cut the length down for the event. So we did have that discussion about, hey, you know what? All these up and comer guys and maybe some of the people who qualified through a qualifying program, a qualifying tournament, maybe we'll do it at the same venue, right? But they won't be part of the main event. So we'll do a live stream, almost like a pre-show on YouTube, and go for live for free, and then we'll switch over to the whole pay-per-view model, and we'll only keep like maybe the top 6 matches to be on the pay-per-view. We did have that discussion. The only thing that we were to be really careful, because sometimes it may also be seen as a slight disrespect to the athletes who train really hard as well. So it's a really fine line about trying to make things better, but also not thinking about the athletes. Like if you notice, like the pattern that I'm talking about, it's always thinking about the athletes. Uh, um, let's see. Kazakhstan is another mecca of arm wrestling. You're right. You're right. Absolutely correct. We have thoughts about arm wrestling in Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is great. Legal lanes set up his rules. Yes, to Kazakhstan. Anyone is qualified, but nobody is doing it, and he's doing it. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Suri is playing WAF. Porn. Yes, yes. Okay, so one way MT arm wrestling. One way we are trying to we are always looking into seeing the new talents, and the one place that unfortunately there is no global consensus, but it really feels that WAF champions are like the top in the world. Like no other, I don't want to name the other competitive world championships, but no other world championships will produce better true world, like world title than WAF, right? So if somebody wins at WAF and they gain the attention of specifically like Ingen, and obviously anybody else can recommend to Ingen, it's actually a feeder program. That's why Ingen decided from the very beginning that he wants to work very closely with WAF in order to have them start feeding him athletes. So that's why WAF is really important. Uh, let's see. Is there any possible to buy or create like technical AI things we can determine if there was a pin or elbow fall? Um, yeah, I've been exposed to people proposing new tables with sensors and whatnot. It needs to be thoroughly tested out. It needs to be uh, not just tested out, but it needs to be readily available to the masses in order for feedback, right? If you're changing something, it needs to get we need to confirm that it's really good. So as of right now, there is no immediate you know plans to swap or include any technological accessories or anything like that to the tables. Um, if no one has done it before and someone came it and doing is better, why the referees are against Devin? Why don't you include invite Bill Collins? Is Bill Collins the best referee? Yeah, Bill Collins is great. I mean, he's great. I've got a I have the chance to sit down and really talk to him in Atlantic City. Um, again, like I was there. I was literally right there. Doing the Georgian events. I was front row, right next to Ingen, and I again, it's my fault for not getting the lighting issue resolved. But the whole point is that um, if you were there, it was not caught on camera, but I can testify. England was yelling at the refs to tell them, "Hey, check Gennadi's shoulder as well." Right? It's a lighting thing. It was a lot of chaos. It's not the refs this time. It's not the refs. It is it is I would say a failure on our part to really get the whole lighting thing. It, it's our fault. It's my fault. We'll do better. Hey, I really would like to ask if there's a policy that Safan Arts, your sentence was cut off. Please let Devon skip me. I'll be. I like that. I want to enjoy. Thank you, Ian Dex, for EVS 16. It was super clean, incredible. Love events. Thank you, Michael B. What will be the expected size of the Texas tournament? We're talking about a Friday tournament, Cheese Fest, or you're talking about like the main event on Saturday? Because we have a hard cap at 2,500 seats. So we have we don't know what the exact number is in Georgia, but we think it's about over 2,000 because there was a whole bunch of people that just they were standing on security couldn't manage them because the events were so exciting that the securities forgot to do their job, I guess. Like I kid you not, I will walk up and like there was 6 security guys watching the match. It's like, guys, you guys are not manning the entry points. What are you guys doing? And so Georgia was as you can see, there were people standing at places where they were not supposed to. So we had over 2,000, and we have a hard cap of in Arlington at 2,500. So I'd say buy your tickets early, get it locked in before, or maybe scalp it at the end of the day. I'm just you know because we have a hard cap, so I expect that whole venue to be full. So buy your tickets early before it's too late. People have tried selling wall games. As a fan from Japan, thank you, Jay Coben. Hub cities. Um, hey Jay, if you're from Japan, I'd say I have a huge desire. I have a huge desire, and so so there's a lot of people here. We want to have an event in Japan, Tokyo, Osaka. Doesn't matter. We got to do one in Japan. So if you can connect us with the right people to help support our production, we would love to go to Japan. Uh, Tokyo would be great. Yes, that's right, Durs. Hey, I really want to ask if you can see Lalatin and Levon rematch in 17. Well, no. I can straight tell you, even though technically matchmaking is not in my purview, but no, that's not gonna happen. Does anyone know if you get crappy season events, can you still see what's going on? So, Cheese Fest, good question. If you actually see, like, I don't know if you actually saw, but this time we actually had additional LED screens for the people who are sitting further back. so they won't be necessarily able to see the stage very clearly. If they end up coming late and they bought the general admission tickets, but at the very minimum, they'll feel the crowd vibe. And also, there was two extra large LED screens at the back. So the goal is to try to make sure that we have the best experience possible for almost everybody. Uh, we saw Moscow. Wait, hold on. Let's see. Actually need to scroll that off. Moscow is great, but unfortunately, the war prevents us from getting in there a little bit. Uh, that that is a challenge. Oh man, I actually scroll way in and out. Now everything's gone. Uh,
Oops.
yeah, when I click a
Yeah.
button, it just brings it all the way down. I kind of lost track. Uh, well, I'm just gonna start. I know for a fact if Devin pulls that element, you still want him. So any other promotions who don't affiliate with WAF EVW are slowly gonna left slowly die because you are the most hardworking one. I can't see it as too logical casualty. Uh, Zoom videos, I think you have a point there. We Unfortunately, this is somewhat of a zero sum game where if one dominates and succeeds, the other one might slowly fall. Uh, to a certain degree, wouldn't say complete monopoly. I mean, like Uber has lived, right? I mean, UFC has one championship. There's always some level of competition. I think it's okay. Uh, you know, we all welcome competition, but but ultimately we do support WAF, so it's got to be WAF. Will proper overhead cameras be happening? We desperately need more camera angles to see what's happening at all times. Okay, okay, Reshi, if you're here, this is going to be really cool. In the near future, in the very near future, we are going to be implementing in our stream, and everything is step by step, right? I want to keep launching new features. One of the new features is going to be what we call multi-cam angles. So if you're watching our pay-per-view stream live, you'll be able to select not only the toggle between chats and pollings and the fan reactions, which I think many of you appreciate, but you'll be able to select the cameras as well. So you'll be able to watch. Maybe it might be ready in Dallas. I'm not sure. So
It's possible.
it's possible, right, Adam? So maybe it'll be ready in Dallas by then, but we'll have multiple cameras, and you can watch the official live stream, or you could watch a camera of your own choice, and you can select the camera of your own choice. So you can control what you want to watch instead of us telling you what you want to watch. So that might be ready in Dallas. You talk like Elon Musk. Maybe we have the same IQ. Maybe I have the same IQ as like Elon Musk. EVW is like even. Um, let's see. Uh, yeah, we have considered replacing the parent organization EVW with something else. If you have suggestions, send them my way. Let's see. It's it's time to make a EVW video game, please. I like to buy it. Matter of fact, we actually have one of our graphic designer and web developer. He was making a an arm wrestling video game. Uh, let's see. Yes, audiobooks. Adam is our head of AV production. So yes, he is. The name pick. Let's see. The Texas card will be released shortly, but one at a time in a poster. Adam, bring Larry Wheels back to arm wrestling. Maybe Larry Wheels will come back.
Who knows?
So pick the countries. Come to Ottawa. Yeah, the Y Andres. Yeah, we do have big plans. We do have big goals to get to Canada. I want to create an EVW branch in Germany. Uh, sure. Let's talk. Uh, AI audiobooks. We can talk about you hosting an event in Germany. And well, again, we'll talk. And let's see. I bet hosting in Poland is cheap and easy. Sure. I mean, Poland's actually in on our radar. Uh, you know, if you know anybody who has connections with the government or sponsorships and whatnot, We are very open to consider any almost any countries in the world, barring any political or you know safety issues, right? We so the bodybuilder bully. Oh, that's Adam. I'm gonna Dawn Idris. Is everything fine? I think most Twitch streamers use 1080p at best, as long as the bit rate and frame is good. You don't need more than that. That's correct, Halbert. 1080p is completely fine. High five looks like 4K. Um, Brian Shaw is the new Larry Wheels. Any plans of pushing Eastern athletes to learn English? Uh, okay, well, so Lage, think about this. Do you want them to spend time learning English or training in the gym? I again we have no plans, but we are starting some sort of a media training a little bit. I'm gonna the first thing I'm gonna recommend all athletes, they all need a nickname. The nicknames can be only reserved for select few guys, right? So I think if done correctly, played smart, you could be the next Dana White person. That's thank you, Cal Krustaki. Keep exhibition out of it, please. Um, Something about exhibition matches. Um, like I get it. Most of you guys are the biggest arm wrestling fans, right? But there are a lot of the rest of the 99.9% of the world have probably never actually watched an arm wrestling match in their life, right? And and in order to reach out to those people, the only way is to tag on the popularity of some other known celebrities, right? It could be an adjacent. The easiest ones are adjacent athletes, like the strongman competitions, like Brian Shaw, Eddie Hall, right? Those are the easiest, and then over time we would like to expand that to people who are maybe athletes of other types of sports, right? Maybe we'll have some UFC athletes, two you have to Khabib and Connor, right? And I'm just don't quote me on that. I'm just giving an example. Imagine having athletes of other types, boxing athletes, maybe Jake and Logan battle out the brothers. They have a lot of viewerships that can bring a good positive attention to the sport, and I think that's the goal. It's not trying to dilute or make the sport vi- not for purists, and we will always try to keep it uh you know for the true arm wrestlers, but we still need to recognize that the sport has a lot of room to grow, and the fastest way to grow is to get non-traditional arm wrestlers into the sport. And over time, if you see things like if you pay attention to how Brian Shaw is, he's a great example of a non-traditional arm wrestler falling in love with the sport and actually taking a lot of time to train in arm wrestling. And I think you know we shouldn't be trying to keep this into a small little exclusive club. That's my opinion. Jake Corbin, I do have XRP uh, on a 55-inch screen, and 1080 looks fine. Just a waste to have more unless you sit in front of the screen. That's correct. Um, Give it some time. All the arm wrestling poses, Donald Trump. Okay, let's not talk about Donald Trump. Okay, so Robert did a good job at the business side, but please keep the politicians out of it, including Elon Musk. He won't be good exposure. I, I again, I think it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be Elon Musk. It doesn't need to be anybody. I think the idea is we just need to get somebody like popular, right? We need somebody that can bring more attention to the sport. I won't be answering how many people typically watch the pay per view. It's an internal number. Uh, what if he decides to fund it? Elon Musk says he knows about arm wrestling. I mean, you know, um, even if you don't like somebody, I always like to say, then you know, don't hate the person, hate what he did, right? So, but if we can just utilize Elon Musk to help grow the sport, I mean, why not, right? If you don't like Elon Musk, but he hands you $1 million check, are you gonna say no? I'm not gonna do that. Maybe I will. I don't know. Uh, who is there besides? WAF and EVA, nobody else. There's powerful incentives for a strong WAF bond. That is correct. That's a huge, huge thing. Uh, I don't understand how WAF rules are totally different, but you can still be under them. Um, Ian said a lot of things. Don't take it seriously. So is there a way to get to even? Yes. So yes, there is a path. If you start winning, wolves at WAF wolves, very likely you'll get invitations. The whole process is kind of unique as well. But Ingrid probably, someday he'll have the same Q&A session, uh, AMA session, and you'll be able to ask him that. Will you implement more amateur fights who bring in more viewers, future cards like Khalid and Brian Shaw? That is the idea. We do have intentions of doing that. Um, but unless it's like a select few, we do have intentions of bringing them in. But they can be a guy who never trained in his life before, right? Just because he's famous, it doesn't. But we want him to have some level of entertainment and excitement. I mean, you just look at Atlantic City, right? Brian and Eddie. Those two have not been training for a very very long time, but it was a really exciting, interesting match. That's what we want to ultimately do, right? Because the sport is not reserved for people who have been training for decades, right? It's reserved for people who really enjoy the sport. Uh, uh, the rules were changing so much at one point. I don't think refs knew them anymore. Is not necessarily. Is Devon leaving comments from his? uh, no, I think having consistency in rules is going to help. I think, unfortunately, you know, like us trying to move the sport in a in the direction where, again, it's more palatable because it's condensed. We have to change the rules to make things go faster. So rules are going to have to change. How many employees does EVW have? Not as many as you think, but we have quite a number. We are still hiring. If matter of fact, we are hiring right now. We are hiring people in the video space. So one of my goals is to increase the video quality out. Uh, that we do. So, matter of fact, Adam and we got another videographer along with Ingen out to Georgia a week ahead of the normal time. It's because they get to visit. I think he posted a few videos about Levon and him meeting with Levon Irakli, and we have all this footage. It will take time for us to edit them and make it into like a really short documentary about the life of Levon. You get to see him in his home, you meet his parents. This is where he trains, what he eats. That's kind of how we are doing it. It will take time. Be patient with me. That is the goal that we're trying to do. So we are actually hiring. um, so I mean, if you want to volunteer, I'm happy to have you volunteer some of your time as well. We'll definitely give you credit for it. But but that's kind of what we need to do right now, is to create better high level contents. I want everybody, including non-arm wrestlers, to be able to look up, hey, who's this guy, right? And watch a video of his background, right? We have so many interesting athletes, their backgrounds, their backstories, that unfortunately most, even you guys, might not even know, right? Like in Istanbul, in EVW 15, we had a heart surgeon that injured his wrist, and in my mind it's like, uh-oh, is his career almost over, right? It's things like that that really adds more emotional support for the athletes that are pulling. um The problem is that some refs were, talk about refs. It's another ref issue. Just why bring like let's see. Worth a try to ask. Do you have any insider info on why Kina Poes has no contract with East versus West and King of the Table anymore? Could we see those events at Kina Poes once again? Okay, good. Uh, Andriy Volkov. Yes, I do have the information. Uh, so Kino Poes wanted, so in our previous agreement, I think they only had Russia to stream. and they'll pay us in X amount of dollars. This time, they wanted to include like five other countries, like including Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan and the few surrounding countries, and we just couldn't come to an agreement fast enough to get that deal done. So they were not, I don't think we were fairly compensated because they wanted to include more countries and no change in the amount, and we were like, guys, come on, right? So they play they but we tried. So even at the very end we were like, you know what, whatever, man, uh just take just take our stream. And they were like, oh no, it was not enough time for us to market it. So because they couldn't market it, they didn't want to take out stream. And but because we were like, you know what, we were willing to take the hit, we were willing to take it at a massive reduction, just so that the the arm wrestlers, from Russia at the very minimum, get to watch the stream. And they were like, no. So again, I'm not saying it's all their fault, but I believe they could have accommodated the situation a little bit better. If any of you, who knows of a Kinopolis competitor that would be interested in host and distributing our stream, we would love to talk to them, because our goal is not to to hold back the event to everywhere outside of Russia. Let's see, Dennis for one. Bob Anderson has the right idea. It's okay to disagree. Oh man, when the problem is that okay, let's see. Sorry, I'm scrolling down. There's a lot of communication about monopoly. Yes, I think Mike G, you do have a point. We won't be able to monopolize anything. That's not our intent. But especially once we get big enough, there's no way we can monopolize anything. But I think while we are small, we have to be. I wouldn't use the word monopolize, but I would use the word maybe united. We got to be united to support the top athletes, because they are like the face of the whole sport. And currently, I think the that falls under East EVW. And so we got to rally around these athletes and then push the sport. And it's almost like a spear rather than coming in as trying to break down a wall with a shield, right? So that's kind of the idea. How about a simple parallel camera from the front? Yes, we will have a camera, from the front at table height, right? Um, going forward, any plans to build an arm wrestling arena? Yes, the answer is yes. We would like to build it in our backyard, where me and Robert resides, and maybe every so often we'll host an event there. But right now we have so much other things that we have to plan for, that this is a not it's not on a high priority right now. Why I feel like don't like. Why hasn't there been a King of Table? Cheese Fest. King of Table would be after Dallas. So it still is still around. They need an overhead camera on track, 9 feet. We will work on.
On track. Yeah, there will be an overhead camera.
Yeah, yeah, there might be an overhead camera, but maybe not on a track. Maybe it's on a crane.
That's right.
Will you stock some merch in every country like C, so we can have less shipping? Are you talking about Southeast Asia, Elias Karog? Um, yes and no. For now, like everything else, it needs to slowly grow. Uh, the part about we call it uh, uh, 3PL, right? Third party logistics, right? Anytime there is a fulfillment center, it costs a lot of money, and it for rental space, right? If there isn't enough revenue from the merch sales to cover that, then it doesn't really make sense for us to host one there. We might actually end up losing money. So we now, don't get me wrong. Yes, we do make money on merch currently because our shipping cost is really high. But my idea is to bring all the costs down low enough so that I can pass on the savings to you guys by lowering the shipping costs. But it also still need to make sense, because ultimately rental space and warehousing and coordinating our sales needs to be a little bit more of a coordinated effort. Give me a little bit more time. I'll work on that. But if you guys have any recommendations on any third party fulfillment centers in different parts of the world, I'm very happy to discuss that with you guys. Will you stock some merch? Okay, well, we got that. Will there be an event in UK? UK is one of the more expensive countries to host an event, and we may have to go lean on probably like Neil. Neil probably have to help us out a little bit. But again, like everything else, to this, to help decide where we actually host an event, it's mostly uh, more on a financial standpoint, right? Sponsorships, local support from the governments, sports commissions, city halls, anything you can name it. If it help, if there's enough financial support, then it makes sense for us to get to UK. But definitely, we would love to have one in UK. I mean, yeah, it is. It would be awesome to have one in UK. South America, same thing. If we have enough financial support, we will be able to make it there. Will you stock some merch in every event or events? Learning Kazakh training is more important. That's right, Drunk Eddie. Trump introduced in a deep hook. Winner takes Canada. Oh man, that's funny. 51st state. Please do not let Paul brothers come into the sport for the love of God. Dennis Poole, Xi Jinping, best of seven. That's funny. Why are arm wrestlers allowed to complain to the refs in the ref script? Obviously, they got into that position. They don't like the position, so it needs to be controlled by the refs with no interference. From my understanding, when I talk to the athletes, even in the ref script, even moving the hand very so slightly, it is still an advantage, right? No arm wrestler, even in ref script, are going to have their hand completely still. So a slight move, a slight deviation, it's enough for them to complain that they're, hey, my opponent's moving their hands, even in the ref script, right? So that will be my, again, I'm not a world champion, so take it with a grain of salt. Why you pay celebs well to pull even if they have no experience? Well, I guess that's what celebs do. They get paid for their appearance, right? Regardless of whether or not they're there to pull or not. Is there a referee union that they can learn better skills and consistency? I think there has been talks about forming some sort of a, not union, but maybe like a council, maybe to review. Uh, but no, not a union. It just shows it can be bought. Exhibition matches, meaning WWE, they are not real arm wrestlers. Well, okay. So Al Omega Rich, do you think that Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall's match is not an entertaining or a real arm wrestling match, even though they are traditionally not arm wrestlers? So think about that before we jump to conclusions and says exhibition matches are no good because they're not real arm wrestlers. They actually train really hard, right? They're really strong, and I got a really I can put my money on that you probably can't beat any of them, either of them, right? So let's not jump to conclusions. Like exhibition matches can be real arm wrestling matches. They may not be Levon and Devon Strong, but they sure are real arm wrestling matches. Now, worth a try to ask, would you allow a 54-year-old male who is paraplegic arm wrestle? Yeah, I mean, I don't think there is a, you know, as long as so I'm asking, so I'm trying to answer the question if a paraplegic arm wrestler. I, I don't really get that question, but if you're just talking about like disabled person in a wheelchair arm wrestle, I mean, if the match is warranted, right?
Yeah,
But
they have good competitions for that.
yeah,
So
but
there's some good arm wrestlers.
yeah, but to say if they'll pull in the main event, I'm not quite sure. Again,
Yeah, I
that's
don't
more
know.
of a Indian question, right? Uh, because politics directly affects someone's life, it's not flavor of ice cream, sure. John Cena and Alex Cordecha. Oh man, I would love to see John Cena.
Oh, me
John
And
Cena.
his hand is massive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then he'll be, yeah, John Cena will be a great one.
yeah.
Dennis pulled Devin, whole body, table, right arm, base. Well, I'm trying to look through questions. People are complete. All right, I'm gonna just gonna go for a couple more minutes, and then we'll end the stream. And then if you guys have follow up questions, uh, um, save it for the next AMA session. How about that? Mark Wahlberg, yeah, that's another good one. People are generally irrational these days. So many, yeah, getting more non-traditional athletes from other sports. Quite well. Yeah, thank you, Houdini Sports. That's exactly what you're thinking about. Too late. I joined Expectancy. Who are you? Well, watch from the Bobby LH. Watch it from the beginning again. I guess
Or read
all.
the title.
I'll read the title. I guess all in on food giving for students, cheap vendors, to digits. Um, okay, peaceful. Transparency. About not releasing the PPV buys.
You don't have to be transparent about it.
Well, I mean, there are certain things that still needs to be private.
Yeah,
I would imagine, like, um,
business dealings.
yeah, business dealings, contracts, and everything. I think that's the one benefit of having it a private company. I don't have to release those numbers for now. For now, let me think about it about releasing the PPV numbers. The only thing that I have to caution, the reason why I don't want to release it right now is because there's a lot of misunderstandings about, well, wow, example, let's PP, East vs West has 1 million pay-per-view buys. Wow, these guys must be filthy rich. You know what? I'm gonna see if I can screw them. They don't deserve money, right? But they don't understand that 70% of it goes to the athletes, and 20% goes to the venue, 10% goes to the production, right? 5% goes to miscellaneous air travel, and 5% is a slush fund that we'll have to use to fill in the gaps. People don't understand all these concepts about owning a business, right? Like Robert and I, we are heavily in the restaurant business, and they're like, wow, this omelet, they use 4 omelets and they charge me $10 or whatever, right? Now I can go to the store and 4 eggs only cost me $1, example, right? So, oh, these guys that make $9. Oh, yeah, these guys are really draining, like taking us for a ride. That's not that, but they don't consider, well, rental is expensive, labor is expensive, right? The dishwasher is expensive. There's a lot of all those miscellaneous things that people don't think about, and there's no good thing that comes out of it if you know the pay per view buys, but there's a lot of negative things if I tell you the pay per view buys, right? Uh, let's see. Oh, allow us to rewind the lives next time.
Yeah,
Yes,
I like
yes,
that.
it's been discussed. We have a DVR all ready to go. During your press conferences, why does it always end up turning into a Devon show? Great pose and sitting. Well, I think one thing about Devon is that he is he understands what it means to be an entertainer as well, right? And there's a lot of showmanship, and he's very confident. And I think, to be honest, it's a little bit biased uh, in favor for athletes who speak English, because the press conference are mostly done in English, and most of the people speak English. So he's more comfortable just being a little bit more of a showmanship, right? If we had this in, say, Kazakh, or in the language that maybe Morozov is able to speak, maybe Russian or something, then I don't think you'll see as much from Devon compared to the Russian athletes,
Right.
right? So it's not just a Devon show. I think it's just because everything is benefiting Devon, or the English speaking athletes, that they have the leg up in terms of you know able to express themselves or communicate. Uh, I I think it's more of that. Honestly, keeping even as a top league is better. Let the small leagues be a newbie fight. And yeah, Zoom videos. I think you have a point. Allows you to rewind videos. Hi, Sergey Kalinichenko. Because none of to, where can I where can I send a pilot episode? Well, if you want to send us, like comments and any updates and whatnot, send it to this email, contact@evwsports.com. That is our email, where it's a blanket where you can send stuff in. Uh, why do people eager to know it's enough to keep the show running? Nothing good will come if you release pay-per-view buys. Please don't do nothing positive. Yep. Thank you, Josh Holden. Uh, Devin's left arm. Just want to say I'm watching, but at work, so I can't comment. I like when the translate guy runs back and forth and trash talk himself. Yeah, Devin's pure original. If you could double pay per views if you allow and pay PPV YouTube as well. Do both. Why not? Uh, Drew 24. Uh, is that a risk we want to take? Because we lose right off the bat like 30-40%. I can't remember what the number was. I think like I think it's like 40%. We lose 40% of the revenue. So we need to have 40% more pay-per-view buys at the same price. I think that's an issue, right? So the one thing that people were also asking us about was that, hey, why did the price of pay-per-views went up with the takeover? And you know, because now the company is now the headquarters have been moved to South Jordan, Utah. We are now an American entity. We have to abide by all the uh, regulations around the world, right? So, and one of the main ones are like sales tax and VAT. And so, if say you're in Canada, you have I think your harmony. I think what they call an harmony tax of like harmonizing tax. I think it's like 12-13%. So you right off the bat, you pay 12-13% extra. Plus, there's a platform fee that doesn't go to us. It's to cover the credit card fees, and it goes straight to the platform. And I think that's almost 5%. It's just shy of 5%. So when you combine those two, it becomes a pretty significant number, right? But then there are countries like North America. If you say that, well, I am in Draper, Utah, and my zip code's 8420, then there is no sales tax, right? So we had people in India, they had to pay 18% sales tax. The other one was Sri Lanka, 15% sales tax. So I do recognize that these are all added costs, but know that that is not something that we collect, and that's not something that we elected to increase or yeah. So just yeah, it's based on the country. So if you say you're from America and you're just pick a state, and it's actually cheaper, right? So if you're from America, I think there's some other countries that have zero taxes as well. I'm not sure, but I know for all of you that have to pay taxes, unfortunately, that's how you know it is. It's law. We legally to make to go mainstream, we have to make sure that we do things by the book, right? We never want to get into trouble with any. We don't want to get banned from from streaming to any of the countries. I think you could double pay per views. So Oscar 194, just to recap, no EVW videos. The full matches will be for members, and then a few weeks later, it'll be open to the public. Uh, but also at the very minimum, long highlights will be available within the upcoming week. Um, let's see, would an event in Kazakhstan be possible? Yes. It seems like a true trend. Martin, you're probably like the 20th guy who talked about why we should have an event in Kazakhstan. Are you the guy from Cup Pop Korean Food? Uh, uh no. Do I look like him? Matter of fact, those two guys are really good friends of ours, and Robin and I, we are partners with them, so we are doing business with Cup. If there's Cup Pop in your in your neighborhood, you should go try it out. It's really good. Or just Google them. They have over 60 locations and growing. YouTube has way more people could buy it here, and no survey issues. Um, is it possible with someone else because of the rep? Okay. Well, I'll go a couple more minutes. I'll answer a couple more questions, and then we'll call it a day, and then save your questions for another time. Um, what's your opinion on the legacy hammer? That's a touchy subject. That's a touchy subject. You mean the hammer that gets passed around to all the world champions, and then a world champion that I can't mention. Well, I don't want to call him out, but well, I already mentioned it's him. Decides not to share it with people. That's a tough one, right? Yeah. So I think legacy hammers would be pretty difficult if we have no control over that particular, uh, you know, trophy. But whereas our belt and our gauntlet is controlled by us, so if really somebody tries to screw us, we can always just make a new one.
Right.
But Legacy Hammer, if somebody doesn't want to, uh, wants to share it after he, or then he doesn't want to give it up. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
Uh, can you do a collab with Uncle Roger? I think he can bring. You know what? Yeah, I would love to have a collab with Uncle Roger. You can, we'll do, we'll get, I don't know, Dennis Zapelenkov cooking fried rice with me.
That'd
That
be
would be pretty
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, I don't like YouTube for some of the things. YouTube's not the answer. Advertising gonna be top notch. You're right. Wait till Devin gets the gauntlet and starts adding stones to it and goes through the weight class. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool, huh?
Mhm.
He gets all the weight classes.
Yeah, that'd
Man,
be cool, right? That'd be crazy.
imagine if like Devin's in 95 kilograms.
Yeah, congratulations.
He'll be a walking stick at that
Yeah,
point.
this is happy.
He looked pretty good at 105 though.
I thought, yeah,
He
he
looked
did.
pretty good at 105. We need Dennis come back at main event at 18. Yeah, we do like. Yeah. How did you like Georgian crowd constraint making event in Georgia and everything? You know what? I can't pronounce your name because it looks kind of funky, but uh, yeah, we love the Georgian crowd. They were great.
They were great.
Now knowing what we know now, it's a lot easier for us to go back there again because we know the production people that we have to deal with. We know how the crowd works. We know which team we're gonna, the people we want to be in business with. Local sponsors, they all love it. But yeah, so love to have it in Georgia, and uh, Crown is better. Do you think mixing the sport with Hollywood and politics is a good way to go for it? I don't. I don't necessarily think it's Hollywood or politics. I think it's just putting somebody that is notable or famous, who or at the very or maybe think of it, if somebody has a good reach,
Mhm.
if we can utilize their reach to share the sport with the rest of the world, I think that's better. So don't look at it from a Hollywood standpoint or a political standpoint. We look at it from like how many reach does this guy have, and can we have him help us push the sport forward? I think that's how we want to phrase things. That might be a little bit better. Uh, is there a chance that we could see Richard Loops again? Any status on his current condition? Um,
It's possible.
maybe.
Yeah.
We would never say no to anything. Uh, Lavon 70 kilograms. Yeah, Lavon 70 kilograms. That's what. That's quite a while back. Toddzilla at 200 kilograms versus Lavon. That's funny. Yeah. Oh, Todd had a really good match. It was very entertaining. Have you considered letting content creators get affiliated? Okay, great. Arm wrestling enjoyer. That's something I gotta to share this new program, right? So there is two kinds of new things that I am launching. Well, one is technically semi-launch, but it's not made public yet. So one is called a EVW media ambassador, and what the media ambassador does is that he gets certain rights to our footage and special access to our athletes. So it's designed for people like one of them. It's Henry, right? A shout out to Henry and Nevering. So Henry is a media ambassador of EVW. So certain things that he gets to do that not many people get to do is he gets to interview our athletes. He gets backstage pass. He gets free merch, and he gets to use our official matches videos, uh, you know, for his own YouTube channel, right? At zero cost. There's absolutely zero cost, right? It's not it's not a way to charge people money at membership. It's no, it's nothing like that, right? Because we recognize that in order to grow the sport and in order to grow the brand, we gotta help propagate through as many channels as possible. But at the same time, we gotta be careful because uh, we don't want people, stealing out like taking money away from our pockets, right? So pirating our stream and everything, that's not acceptable. So that's a media ambassador. In exchange, what we would like is that when they use our stream, they usually go through a sort of a small little meeting, a training where we can tell them, hey, this is the videos that you can post, these the types of formats we are okay with, and if you have questions, you can always send it to me, or our team, and we'll review it and we'll give you a thumbs up or thumbs down, or we'll just give you advice on how to make, do things. And you also need to help us put backlinks. So if you're using a link from one of our footages, you have to have our link at the bottom that says go to this link to watch the full match, right? So it helps us. So it's almost like a win-win kind of situation. And if there could be a time where one of the other conditions is at least one per event, that you might have to help us put it on your Facebook channel and says, hey, buy tickets at and it backlinks to our website. So we don't ask for very much. We have uh, we have no intention of making money in that way. We just want to have a strict, a very good system. Now the other one is a media partner. So not quite an ambassador, but a media partner for people who don't travel to our events live. uh, come hit me up. Contact at evwsports.com. Hit me up, ask for an application. We'll send you an agreement, and the agreement really outlines almost the same thing. It just doesn't have the same tier benefits like free backstage passes to our events and whatnot. Uh, and once you go through the program, you sign it. We'll whitelist you to our copyright strikes team, right? And we are happy to just help you out. And in return, as long as you're doing coverage and not putting pins on your videos. And basically, the metric in my mind is, will it make people not watch our full matches or our highlight matches from our main channel? If it's a yes, then very unlikely I'll approve that video. But if it's like, it's a little bit of a take on your opinions, your thoughts, yeah, very happy to approve those. So if you're interested, it's contact at evwsports.com, right? Let's see. Uh, Uncle Roger, Todzilla, everything is like that. What's reach of the influencers? Okay, Drew 24. Dexter, what are your thoughts on the model of Propanja League, production quality, partnership with Sony, etc.? Uh, I don't know much about Propanja League and everything. We got actually an invite to have an event in India. We were looking into it, uh, and we matter of fact, I do know for a fact, and this is what I'll show you. One of our largest demographic who watches our videos are from India. One of the largest, right? In terms of viewership count and subscriber count. And so we have a huge interest in doing something in India, but we need to find a good Indian partner first. And but the only thing that becomes a little bit challenging, it's from the financial perspective. To fly everybody to India, that's one challenge. So the cost is going to be pretty high. Maybe production might be cheaper there. Labor, manpower might be cheaper there, but we end up bringing a lot of our our crew and our team from Europe and America anyway. And they told me something that makes it a little bit more challenging to have an event in India is that if I charge a penny or 1 cent uh, for entry fee, there might be nobody who attends our event live. That was what is displayed to me. So a lot of the events are free, are free events. So financially, it might be really really challenging to have one in India. But you know, we love the Indian crowd, right? I know I'm from a country where Indians are one of the significant minority race. My best friends have Indian. We really like to have one in India, but until we get the financial part worked out, it might be a while. But in terms of anything about Propanja League, I'm not very privy to their inner workings. What are the main challenges you face in coordinating such a large scale event with so many athletes, staff, and production teams involved, especially with different locations requiring new contracts? Uh, I think the main challenge is that we need to find good people, good partners, right? And partnership comes in many forms. Like we can have a partner who is a true arm wrestler, a true big fan, true honorable guy, full of integrity, but he's not quite business savvy, and that's also an issue. So it needs to have a good balance between some guy who's not going to be out to screw us, And we also need to have a guy who kind of knows, how to run a business. And when I say talk about business, it's contracts and dealings. You know, uh, finding good partners, those sort of things. But I think finding guys on the ground. Fellas, shout out to a guy named Nathan. You know, he's been really instrumental in getting us, worked out with the venue. He helped us with the hotels. He helped us with, coordinating with a lot of the, finding us the arm wrestling tables, right? So finding local partners, in that region who are trustworthy and also capable in handling the tasks assigned to them, or helping us out. I think that's probably the main challenge. If they really can, sometimes all we need is people to point us in the right direction. Because I personally have not been to Tbilisi until that first event, so we had to do a lot of trust on Vala to point us that, hey, this is a really good venue. You should do this venue, right? This is a really good team to work with. We'll work with this team, right? So I think that's our main challenge, with different location. But the good part is we kind of barely started this whole thing. Eventually, in about a year or two, we've gone to enough locations where now we can always revert back to, like, hey, you know what? Like, for instance, if we go back to Turkey right now, it's easy, right? We've been doing it in Turkey for such a long time. Ingen can just pick up a phone call and he'll have like five different teams all ready to jump at the AV production thing, right? So eventually we will have enough experience around the whole world that we have a good list of people that we can work with. Capybara, yes, I do need to sleep. We all need a lot of sleep. I mean, I got my own, companies to work on, but EVW has been a really good journey, and you're powering through it. You're powering through it. What are your perspective on arm wrestling news, Pradeep? I've had a really short conversation with Pradeep not too long ago. Our new copyright stream accidentally, well, not accidentally, they kind of hit a strike on him. Pradeep reached out, talked to him. Seems like a really friendly guy. Uh, Great insights, and I think he's a great supporter of EVW. So I'm happy to have him, continue doing so. So any partner, uh, me and Robert's take on social media, it's a little bit different. Um, in a way where it's unconventional. You can talk bad about us, and I would just ask that if you guys can be uh, giving us constructive criticisms instead of like, oh, you're an idiot, right? It doesn't help you very much. It says, Dexter, you're an idiot because if you had better lighting, blah blah blah, right? That would be much more affordable. Well, sorry, much more acceptable to us. Like we would embrace it with open arms. So if you guys notice that we could do something better, share with us with your opinion. I'm gonna say this truthfully. I'll do my best to read everything as best as I can, but just know that change do take time, and just bear with us a little bit. All right. Let's see.
Coming up on 2 hours.
Yeah, I know it's coming up 2 hours. That's why I need sleep, huh? Uh, let's see. Yep, yep. Everybody, check out Henry Naring's channel. He's a great supporter. Let's see. How do you balance the need of existing fans while also attracting new fans to the sport? Some people are fans prefer less antics, it seems. John, I think you have a good point. Uh, some fans do just want to just purely watch the match, and nothing else, right? No drama, no conversations, just the match. And if the pay per view were 20 hours long, they would be extremely happy to watch it anyway, right? But unfortunately, uh, obviously we can do a 20-hour match, but the balance is that we will try to keep the rules very close to WAF to a certain level, but we can still improve on certain smaller things for viewership, just really real small ones. An example, right? One of the rules that, if you notice, is that athletes can make slight non-advantages hop. So no advantage gain but if their elbows just go vertically up and down just slightly, so it doesn't like immediately it's a foul, it's a foul, it's a foul. Then most of the matches it goes into a foul mode, and it's just not as exciting to watch, right? It still keeps the whole spirit of arm wrestling there, but at the same time, it becomes easier for arm wrestlers, well, non hardcore fans to understand what was, what just happened. I didn't see a foul, right? Things like that. So we're trying to it's definitely a challenge to try to find balance, but it is definitely a challenge. One of the feedback that we got that we might want to make as small adjustments to is that instead of just having commentators, hearing mostly commentators, we want to turn the volume, well, sorry, the gain on the microphones of the refs and the athletes. So, it's still the same arm wrestling, but now people get to actually hear what the refs are saying. It's like, hey, shoulder, hey, foul. Sometimes, those are actually quite good added benefit uh, things. Do not try to change your name. Oh, yeah. I thought that was a real Devon. Exposure to masses is the biggest value right now. Yes, all Sam's that's absolutely correct. Okay, I'm gonna answer 5 more questions, and then we'll call it good because that's this is pulling for 2 hours now. Uh, that's good. You should donate Mike to Ingen. Yeah, probably I will. Appreciate the transparency of the process. Thank you, Jay Corbin. Do you have any say in what these media ambassadors say? Hopefully, there isn't any censorship. Martin Stepniewski. Uh, well, okay, so there isn't very much censorship, to be honest. Like, I mean, you can ask Henry. He's on the chat somewhere, I think. Uh, I there isn't very much censorship. I mean, the only thing that I may have a problem with is if you attack uh somebody. You can attack me. You can attack the athletes. Is so and so athlete is a terrible guy. His hook is terrible. Whatever. You can say all those. Those are your opinions. But as soon as it starts making like it feels like a really personal attack that has no basis, like it doesn't add any value to the whole sport or organization. That's when I'll say, you you can have that. Um, Again, constructive criticism is probably your best friend when you want to get something approved. I guess. Will East versus West have a member feature or subscription? Uh, Omega Rich, no, not at this time. We only have memberships on Facebook, and just so everybody knows, we have a brand new Facebook page that is not fake. Our existing Facebook page has a technical issue that prevents us from monetizing, and that needs to be fixed, and we can fix it, and we got barely any support from Meta. So in order to do the same thing we're doing by posting videos there, we want it monetized. Uh we need to set up a new Facebook account. So if everybody could check out our new Facebook page, that would be, and follow that page, that would be much appreciated. uh The Drew, so is it possible for me to? I'm gonna answer that. Okay, 3 more questions. If you all want the Gen Z internet kids to watch, get iShow Speed versus Kai Senate. Maybe. I mean, Mr. Beast just did a video and he just released it with Jake Paul and iShow Speed and a bunch of other influencers. And that'll be pretty fun. But then again, we'll try to not make it pure entertainment, baseless entertainment. We'll still want to have them actually train in the rules and actually train for a while before they got on the show. So they know what they're doing. They're not just being
Safety.
completely clueless. And safety is a real big one, right? One of the first things I learned when I got into the sport was that why shoulders are so important, that they need to be square, because if they're not watching their hand and they're just turning, uh, they could get injured, right? And so that's also one reason why shoulders is square for the amateurs like me, obviously. Um, all right, 2 more questions. Let's see. Thank you, Balin Bajutso. Let's see. I'm only picking good ones. All right. Okay. So okay, the perfect as a question. Do you know when COD 14 will be released? Yes, I actually do know. It'll be after Dallas, so it will be mid May.
Yeah.
I think like mid.
Hmm.
We haven't finalized the location yet, but it'll be mid May. So I think May. Hold on, let me look at the date. I think it's May 10th. Was it? Yeah, I think right now we got it for May 10th. That would be COD 14. So um, well, stay tuned, I guess. Okay, was it? How many questions? Two more questions.
One more.
Oh,
There's
one
one
more
more
question.
question. Yeah.
One more question. All right. Let's see. Let's see. One more. I'm trying to pick the last good question. All right. Last good question. Anybody got a last good question? Uh, yeah. Future Morphic. Yes, we will have the DVR system. Well,
That was the last one.
no, that's not the last question. It's just yeah, okay. Okay. So last question. Okay. Somebody's asking about the no. I already asked about rewind. Okay. Uh, about exhibition matches. I haven't answered that. Trump, meet, please. No, it has to. Okay. Okay. You know what? I think Drew has a pretty good last question, so we can wrap it up. Next live from me. I'll do it as when needed. Uh, I would say the last session, or the next session will probably be maybe maybe the maybe the Saturday. Maybe we could do this a regular thing. The the following Saturday of every event. And so it gives us time to recap,
Yep.
get data in, and you know, we'll hit
Perfect.
everybody. So
Perfect.
well, again, if anybody wants to be participating in our media program, it's contact at evwsports.com. And if you would like to help us out by identifying videos, pirate videos, it's reports at evwsports.com. And finally, check out our. I think the tickets are live. Our in-person tickets are live for Dallas.
In person. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on our website. Bear with us. The graphics are about to be switched out soon. And finally, a quick little thing is yeah, lack of sleep, so I'm a little bit slow. But what we do? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not EVSW mail. It's EVW. Hold on. Let's see. I'm gonna type it out in the chat. That is our website, and our web domain will be switching over. It's no longer going to be the long east versus west armwrestling.com. It's within the next week or so, it'll be EVW Sports as the main, but the other website will be redirecting it over. And we'll be having let's see, yeah. So that would be it. Well, thank you guys. This has been fun. We'll do it again in about 5 6 weeks.
Yeah. Exactly.
Thanks.